afternoon, Hill City family. To say that 2020 has been an interesting year is quite the understatement. Seems like we went from a mild winter to what was gearing up to be a record-making spring to a pandemic and the country literally closing down. We have all seen the news stories and been watching what is happening in other parts of the country, and as we sit here in the beautiful Black Hills, it almost doesn't seem real. As we move forward into 2020 and begin to look toward visitors and snowbirds returning home, we will no doubt begin to see more of the effects of the COVID-19 virus. The case counts are starting to rise in Pennington County, and we fully expect that we will begin to see cases in our area. Our community members and businesses have done a great job in making changes to support social distancing and slow the spread of COVID-19. Continued efforts in keeping with the CDC and South Dakota Department of Health recommendations will hopefully reduce the negative impacts on our community and what we could face. As your mayor, it is my responsibility to be sure that we are doing whatever we can to protect the welfare of all of our Hill City family. Your elected officials are responsible for ensuring that any legislation that deals with this health situation is meeting the needs of our citizens, businesses, and guests. We have been proactively monitoring and managing information on COVID-19, and this has given us a good base as we move forward through the year and are quickly approaching tourist season. Our focus is on Hill City and the impacts, and today I will share with you what I feel is a solid strategy to continue to deal with this virus and the challenges we may face as a community. So what is our strategy and how will we continue to operate Hill City with COVID-19? We have continued daily monitoring of COVID-19, and this occurs at both the national and local level. This will be continued. We have established and will continue regular conversations with state and local leaders. A line of communication is now in place with Monument Health, and we look forward to continued interaction with our healthcare leaders. Additional and continued Hill City community outreach is also in the plan. To address travel and tourism, tight connections and interaction with the chambers and other travel-related agencies have been established. And finally, a best practice model to address any future legislation necessary to protect our public safety has been created. In establishing legislation, it's important that we look at the thought process and how we work through this. Our decisions will be based on reliable sourced facts, data, risks, and exposure. We will be looking ahead and doing future casting. Our processes will be nimble and legislation can be created and enacted quickly. Situational events will trigger conversations and gatherings of the council to discuss all information available and make sound decisions. Any legislation that's created will be thoughtful and based on facts through discussion, eliminating the risk of any reaction-based decisioning. Enactment of legislation will follow the standard protocols and will require the majority of the council for the vote to pass. Now let's take a look at our legislation best practices. What you see before you is an example of how we will intend on carrying this out. We have developed specific event triggers. These event triggers will be based on confirmed and active cases, and that would be in the area of Hill City. We will be using models to determine what would be eligible for this calculation. A case number needs to be retained for at least a 5-day period before any action is triggered. The resulting action will be engagement of the council by the mayor to determine if it's necessary to set up an emergency council meeting and any new possible legislation needs to be addressed. This will allow us to proactively handle what's happening and take any reaction out of our decisions. As we continue to progress through the year and situations with this health risk change, we will also make changes to accommodate our needs. These processes and models have been created to give you all an understanding of how Hill City leadership will thoughtfully be handling this situation. As many of you, I am keeping an optimistic view for the remainder of 2020. While I am a realist and understand that we will be seeing some dips or abnormalities with tourism in general, I am certain that we will make it through these times and be stronger as we emerge on the other side. I would like to remind everyone that the practice of good personal hygiene is a behavior that is beneficial for all illnesses. We live in America and continue to enjoy social freedoms. Please ensure that you make the right personal decisions for yourselves. If anyone is in need of guidelines, recommendations, or publications from the CDC or Department of Health, you can contact City Hall, and the staff here will be more than happy to help you with whatever you need. Thank you, and we will talk again soon.